afternoon, friends. Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live. And Stu Peters showing this clip right here over on his Twitter channel. As you can see, Israel's not much worried about civilians, not anywhere. Syria, you're looking at Damascus, Syria, under attack by Israel. Now, Israel published in the Israel National News that they were there protecting the Druze. They showed a little bit of aerial footage there of them bombing some tanks and some cars going down. And it is true that the Syrian president, the interim president there, is attacking the different minority groups like the Druze, the Alawites, etc. But it's not just that. It's not just that. The thing is that even when you look at this, even the Syrian Druze leader says he holds it for putting Jolani in power. He said, I came here from the occupied Golan despite the Israeli occupation and its army. We hold the Israel and the U.S. responsible for putting Jolani in power. What's that?
يا أهلنا في حضر يا أهلنا في حضر البطولة.
This is exactly what I shared with you guys. The Druze are under attack in Syria. And of course, their brethren are fleeing, going into the country. And it's just another systematic way to kill off as many as they possibly can. This is exactly what Israel's doing. And they just do not care. They could care less how many they kill, so long as they kill some. And in fact, if you go, Piers Morgan did an interview. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. I didn't even see this one there, but Piers Morgan interviewed, oh gosh, let me go back. Maybe that's this channel here where I could quickly, let me just click on Piers Morgan Uncensored there. He had on this one woman from the West Bank. Here it is right here. And he's just trying to get her to see if she has any sympathy whatsoever for the children of Gaza, the 20,000 plus that have been killed. She could care less. Listen into this.
Been killed since October the 7th in Gaza.
I think that the Palestinians, as you said, you see, I said Palestinians, the Gazans and all Arabs around should stop attacking Israel.
Right, I just asked you how you thought about 20,000 children being killed by the IDF. So how do you feel about that?
I think that the parents should be very careful before they teach the children to hate Jews and to kill Jews.
No, that wasn't my question. That wasn't my question. Sorry to be persistent, but my question...
That was your question.
My question was, how do you feel?
Answer.
He's going to ask her 4 times. She said he asked him 7 times, but she could care less. It gets right down to the very end. The question goes on and on and on, and listen what happens.
About one killed person, if you do not use the means that you have as a media person to stop educating children.
I gave you 4 chances.
Jews. Right. Okay, you gave me 7. You gave me 7.
And you know what? You couldn't give a damn, could you?
That you are to blame more than me.
You don't care, and all you want is all the Palestinians gone. You can barely even bring yourself to say their name. All you want is to take over the West Bank and Gaza. You don't care how many die in the process. You want them all gone. You don't care, do you? That's the bottom line.
As you said, the audience will judge.
Yeah, they will.
That's about exactly right. This is what's just going on. And it's become just, I mean, my wife sent me a text just a little bit. Now the United States and Israel both are complicit. They caged in all the people for their humanitarian aid. Instead of bullets this time, they gassed them. And about a dozen of them died of suffocation. You know, what is so striking, and I saw this in an article, another article I think my wife sent me. Let me just real quick look at this real fast, and I just want to share this with you. Uh, it's an article written by Emma on Twitter. It says today, Israel and the United States unveiled a new way. This is it to kill starving Palestinians at a U.S. aid center in Gaza, not with bullets this time, but with gas and with suffocation. Israeli American soldiers, the guards are more according the butchers, open the gates of the aid center, luring desperate civilians in, and then in a space stripped of all traces of humanity, they slam the door shut, trap people in an airless, shrinking cage, and they then gas them, not to disperse, not to control, but to kill. Dozens suffocated to death. Not a dozen, I'm sorry, dozens. Trapped like animals, choked to death by the very people pretending to deliver aid. Make no mistake, this wasn't chaos. It was a method, a calculated slaughter by American and Israeli forces. They weaponized food, they weaponized air. The world, as always, watches in silence. It's like the world could care less. The Arab nations could care less. Yemen occasionally lobs over a rocket over there. Iran, in their own self defense, tried to do something, but as one friend of mine, an Iranian in fact, said to me, the Iranians will not do one finger to lift a hand to help the Palestinians. He'll send them rockets, but he said they won't help them. Nobody does. Not the Americans, not the Europeans, not the Russians, not the Chinese, not anyone will lift a finger to help these poor people. We have allowed a massacre in real time. You think it's not going to come to this nation as well? Sure it will. Sure it will. In fact, the startling thing of it is, and before we go a little bit further, we're going to get back to Syria here in just a moment. Well, let me finish Syria, and then we'll go back to this issue here. Uh, the Syrian president charges Israel seeks to turn Syria into a zone of anarchy. Syrian President Hamid al-Shara accuses Israel of attempting to undermine Syria's stability, drag it into an internal conflict, and divide the country. Well, Mr. Shara, remember you were a terrorist to start with. They brought a terrorist into power only to divide the country again because they're not done until they fully destroy Damascus. You see, Israel believes that Damascus must be a ruinous heap, and they'll do it with the help of the United States. So yes, they are going to divide you until they're done. And they want to make sure they kill off a lot more Druze because they don't want the Druze living in Israel either. This is the type of evils that are going on. And of course, your little thugs that are down there are humiliating the Druze people, cutting their beards off, anything they can to humiliate. It just makes you wonder who really are these thugs that are going down there? I can't help but wonder about it. And by the way, since we're on the subject of Gaza, before I come back to Audrey here and her channel here, Alligator Alcatraz, and the Rural Health Transformation Program, because that's what's coming to America. What they did to the Palestinians in Gaza is coming here. Wait till you hear what she had to say. Brilliant young lady. Let's come back over here, though. And this is something else my wife sent to me here. I found the actual interview, though, from Mandy Patinkin. And those of you that do not know who Manny is a very famous actor. He's been in so doggone many movies. The Times of Israel is really mad at him, though. He draws fire for saying for Israel doing to Gaza what was once done to the Jews. But no, he's exactly right. Netanyahu's acting just like Adolf Hitler and the Nazis is what he's acting like, right? But Manny, let me just see if I can find this for you real quick here. Here we go, right here. Some of the movies that he's been in: The Criminal Minds, 2005, Princess and the Bride, 1987, famous movie Yentl with Barbara Streisand in 1983, and Homeland as well. He's, both 2011 and 2020. He is just a very well-known actor. He's 72 years old, and I am so happy. He and this lady here as well, in an interview, uh, that is on the Middle East Eye there, came out and made this statement here. Let me play this clip for you. It's very fascinating. Listen into this here.
Any differently about what it means for you to be Jewish in this moment?
Yes, I am. I'll let them go first.
I hate the way some people are using anti-Semitism
claim
as a claim for anybody that is critical about a certain policy. You know, as far as I am concerned, compassion for every person in Gaza, you know, is very Jewish. And the fact that I abhor the policies of the leader of that country does not mean I'm a self-hating Jew or I'm anti-Semitic.
You mean Netanyahu when you say the leader of that country? Yeah.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes. I feel this is the behavior, the politics of what he's doing is the worst thing for Jewish people. It's like lighting a candle for anybody that has any anti-Semitic feelings. It's creating a generation of wounded and hurt kids who will understandably be very angry. So that is how I feel, and I feel, I really feel deeply troubled and horrified by what is happening in my name.
10, 15 years ago, I was in Philadelphia, and then I go up to the hotel room. Catherine was in the hotel room, and the movie was on. She was watching The Princess Bride. And just as I walked in the room is that final scene in the movie where Inigo is sitting by the window with the man in black. And the man in black asks Inigo, would he like to be the next Dread Pirate Roberts? And the Inigo Montoya actor, who was me, said these words, which I did not really know what they meant, that William Goldman wrote, which I think are the singular greatest words I've ever read. You know, I have been in the revenge business so long. Now that it's over, I do not know what to do with the rest of my life. And I ask Jews all over the world to consider what this man, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his right-wing government is doing to the Jewish people all over the world. They are endangering not only the state of Israel, which I care deeply about and want to exist, but they are endangering the Jewish population all over the world. He is the most dangerous thing, not just since October 7th. It has been a deeply troubled situation.
and endangering the Jews by endangering
Yes.
those in Gaza.
And to watch what is happening for the Jewish people, to allow this to happen to children and civilians of all ages in Gaza, for whatever reason, is unconscionable and unthinkable. And I ask you Jews everywhere all over the world to spend some time alone and think, is this acceptable and sustainable? How could it be done to you and your ancestors, and you turn around and you do it to someone else?
That's exactly right. God bless that man
Alone.
for
And think
having the courage, Mandy Patinkin, for having the courage to make that statement right there. This is what every Jewish person in the world. That's why I always say, not all Jews are the same. But there is a very, very evil and wicked group in the modern state of Israel that is ruining the world. God bless Manny. I really thank God for this man, for his courageous courage for what he said. I want to take you now to Audrey Henson here in her video that she did called Alligator Alcatraz and a Rural Health Transformation Program. Something that she noticed going on, and she TikTok video. This video was removed from TikTok, but she noticed something with the alligator Alcatraz, and uncanny closeness between that and the University of Miami. And she's not against the University of Miami, but she also knows that Elon Musk and this new agenda that is coming out too by Robert Kennedy, wanting to make sure everybody had a wearable technology. Listen in though, I won't even take Audrey's words away from her. Let her explain it to you what she has to say. I think is very noteworthy.
About what I found, and I need someone to tell me that this isn't as bad as it looks. So I'm always keeping an ear to the ground when it comes to biotech, especially wearable biotech, because I hate how these health devices are kind of just major data collection tools. And on June 24th, RFK Jr. was in a congressional hearing, and he had said something that kind of bothered me. He said that my vision is every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
My vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
To me, this didn't sound like him encouraging people to get fitness trackers. It sounded like a federal mandate that he wanted everyone to wear biotech monitoring devices by 2029. I'm like, okay, well, where's this money coming from? I mean, you can't put a bunch of surveillance devices on 330 million people without some sort of massive funding, because I assume that that's kind of what he's talking about. So I go looking for the money. I decide to start digging through Trump's big, beautiful bill, because I figure if there's any biotech surveillance funding, it's got to be buried in there somewhere. As I'm reading through it, I'm seeing all of these cuts that we've been talking about all week, right? Like they're cutting the NIH budget by 40%, the CDC by 50%. Like they're literally dismantling agencies that do actual medical research and disease prevention, and it's absolutely disgusting. But then I see this line item, and it's for $25 billion for something called Rural Health Transformation Program. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wait a second, so you are destroying real medical research, defunding rural hospitals to the point of closure, but spending $25 billion on rural health? Like, what is that? This is the first I'm hearing of this. So I start digging into whatever this rural health transformation system is and what it actually means. What it is remote monitoring, robotics, artificial intelligence, and other advanced technologies. And that always makes me pause, right? Technologia. Now look, investing in AI and technology for healthcare isn't weird. Like that's exactly what we should be doing to help patients and advance medical care. But here's what doesn't make sense to me. You don't defund the NIH and the CDC while simultaneously spending $25 billion on a rural health program. Like this does not feel like an improvement to rural health, obviously. It feels like a replacement to rural health. Oh, but then I noticed there's a timeline attached to this budget because $20 billion of that $25 billion gets spent in just the years 2028 and 2029 alone. The same years RFK Jr.'s wearables has a deadline for us, right? So that's interesting. This is when I went from confused to actually scared. So Peter Thiel's company, Palantir, you know, the surveillance company that builds spy tools for the government. Well, he just got a $443 million contract with the CDC. Yeah, the same CDC that they're defunding by 50%. So they're destroying the public health.
Now, if you guys remember when we did our broadcast on Palantir, which is actually on Patreon initially, and then I let it go public over here. Keeping in mind, we did do a on Patreon, including one about the Vatican's telescope there, the Lucifer telescope, and what the Vatican may really be doing, why they really know where Planet X really is. You might want to take a look at that over on patreon.com/Israeli News Live, or check it out in the description. I want to continue on, though, with Audrey here, because this really gets sinister. And keep in mind, Palantir already tracks everybody, uses social media. They even kill people using Palantir's technology. They track you down, figure out where you're at, and then boom, you're gone, you're dead, whatever the case may be. I'm sure that's exactly how they're finding all of the people they consider to be illegal aliens in the country and everything. Yes, they know exactly where you are by your social media, by your phone, by what you do, by who you say, well, who you text, what you do, everything. Remember, they have a backdoor into everything to begin with, right? So check it out.
Health agency and then paying Peter Thiel's surveillance company to take over its data functions. And look, whenever I think about Peter Thiel, I know that Elon Musk also is probably involved because those two are thick as thieves, quite literally. I mean, Thiel bought JD Vance's seat in the White House and Musk bought Donald Trump's. So I just assume they're running the country. So while Thiel's getting all of these healthcare data contracts, like what's Musk doing? You know, he's been very vocal about hating this bill. It doesn't benefit him, right? So I check on Neuralink, which is Musk's brain chip company, and I find out that they had just selected in January the University of Miami as their second U.S. site for human brain implant trials. Yes, you heard that right. In fact, they literally just completed one of their first ever human brain chip surgeries like 2 days ago. No, I'm not kidding.
Now, if you guys remember, though, no, that's not the first one. So just so I can kind of help Audrey on this issue as well. Years ago, in fact, I actually was sharing with you certain soldiers that are wearing brain implants, and they can actually fly drones using their thought rather than actually being sitting in a room at a computer screen. So this has been going on already, but now she's going to bring out a really scary thing, especially seeing they're taking people to alligator Alcatraz. No process, no due process.
Wish I was. Sure am not. Now, look, I want to be clear that the University of Miami has a very legit reputation when it comes to like brain research and helping paralyzed patients. So on the surface, this kind of partnership makes sense. And if we were talking about a doctor who cares about the well-being of others, that would be one thing. But we're talking about Elon Musk here, the same guy who has reportedly 1,500 animals since 2018 at Neuralink medical facilities for failed medical experiments. And employees have actually come forward and complained about these hack jobs because Elon Musk is always pressuring them to move fast. Like, move fast and break things, except for these things this time are living beings. And he's always stated that his goal is not just about helping patients, but that he wants symbiosis with artificial intelligence. That's actually the mission statement on Neuralink's website.
If you noticed in there, it was human. See? The risk reduction improving human to AI and human to human bandwidth by several orders. Musk on X, formerly known as Twitter, in 23.
That's actually the mission statement on Neuralink's website. So, because there's always a modus operandi behind everything they do, I'm thinking to myself, well, why Florida specifically? Like, there's a lot of great neuroscience programs across the United States. What's so special about Florida? And this is when it gets dark. I'm just going to warn anyone who's still watching. I start digging around in Florida legislation, and I see that on May 30th, DeSantis had vetoed a bill that would have let families sue doctors for medical malpractice if it resulted in death.
Exactly. And that was also what our family was involved with for the first time this year, and trying to help that to be overturned by sharing the story of my Suto, my wife, and also Ethan were a part of this. And for the first time, it actually passed both houses. And we thought for sure that DeSantis may sign it. And then, of course, he began to show his true colors, that he was going to stop and veto this very bill. And of course, even though there was enough people to be able to override and force the bill through anyway, the Senate didn't dare challenge the governor of the state of Florida, even though it is his last term in office, or is it?
Like, he vetoed that bill. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because Florida, while under DeSantis's rule, has become an experimental playground for all kinds of policies that would never fly in any other state. He's consistently using emergency powers to bypass normal oversight, testing controversial programs, and pushing the boundaries of what's legally actually possible in the United States of America. Florida, I'm so sorry for everybody who has to live under Ron DeSantis. So what if Florida wasn't just chosen because of UM's research reputation? Like, what if it was chosen because DeSantis has created the perfect environment for experimental procedures with minimal legal consequences? A place where you could potentially test things on people that you couldn't get away with literally anywhere else. And look, maybe these brain chips are doing some net.
And it's been pretty obvious. It's one of the things we've seen in our family, because there are two other doctors involved in the case besides Carrie Madej, who's already been named default judgment in the state of Tennessee. There are two other doctors that have been, well, they actually were named by Dr. Ruby on her Twitter post there. She found a public link and she shared their name publicly, who the other two doctors are. All you got to do is look up Jane Ruby on Twitter and you can find out who the other two are. And yes, they did continue Carrie Madej's protocol, but of course, they also did an experiment. As she says, you can get away with doing experiments in the state of Florida. So, very
good, and it's all very above the board, and everybody is happy, taken care of, and their lives are better. Except there are a handful of people whose lives actively aren't better right now in Florida, and those are the people going to alligator Alcatraz. So I decided to check the distance, from the detention center where thousands of people are going to be held against their will, to the University of Miami, where Elon Musk and Neuralink are actively doing brain implant experiments. Perhaps some of you see where I'm going with this. So I Google Maps it, and my heart kind of sinks because it's a lot closer than I thought it would be. It's about 45 miles apart. So, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, there's no way he's going to do what I'm thinking he's going to do, right? Like, there's no logical reason why these two things should be connected, right? And again, I want to be clear here. I'm not trying to implicate the University of Miami in anything. Like, they have been a legitimate research center for the better half of 40 years, helping patients who are paralyzed. Like, they are legit as fuck. And Elon Musk uses his own surgeons, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, the thing is, like, look at who gets hurt by this, by all of this. When you put it all together, like, when you defund the NIH and the CDC and rural hospitals close, like, it's always poor people who lose access to healthcare. So if you want to control those communities, or let's say you want to have predictive police surveillance, what do? You destroy the healthcare systems and the infrastructures that serve those low-income populations, and then you say, oh, don't worry, we have a solution for you, and it's surveillance technology disguised as healthcare. They become dependent on the tech because they have no other options. You took those away. You defunded those. And if you've just cut healthcare for millions of people, then that means the clock's a-ticking, because if I also remember correctly, then you need to have this biotech ready to go by no later than 2028. So you either need a lot of human volunteers, or you need a group of detained immigrants who maybe can't consent, can't sue, can't speak out. What was the name of that other place that performed criminal medical experiments on prisoners? Ugh.
Think about it. Think about it.
Except there
Audrey
are a
Henson,
handful of people.
very brilliant young lady. I'm Stephen Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. Again, don't forget our Patreon channel, patreon.com/Israeli. Two latest videos that we posted up there in the last week, I should say. And thank you for your support of this broadcast. You can also support us by mail, which you see right above my head here. It's PO Box 956, Prosper, Texas. The zip code's above my head as well, or directly on our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org. Thank you, and God bless.